How do you know if a Venus in Scorpio likes you? What is one relationship deal breaker to a Venus in Scorpio? If you have this placement, why can it feel like you fix or heal every partner that you date, but you are left with nothing after the relationship ends? Stay tuned while we answer these questions and more about having a Venus in Scorpio in your natal chart. I'm going to do this video a little different than the rest of them. So I am a Venus in Scorpio, and I am going to go over the traits of having your Venus in Scorpio in your birth chart, but I'm also going to share how this placement has played out for me and what it is like to have your Venus in Scorpio. Now, this is a general reading because aspects have a profound effect on how energies manifest in the physical. It is always important to look at the whole birth chart to get a more accurate reading. But in today's video, I will go over what it's like having your Venus in Scorpio. And if you are dating a Venus in Scorpio, then pay attention until the end because I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on to handle us when we are dating. So let's get started with today's video. If you are new to astrology, then have no fear. Just head on over to astro.com, click on charts, and then extended charts. Type in your birth information and a nice little birth chart will appear. Now, the Venus symbol in a natal chart is going to look like this. So if you already have your birth chart and you know you are a Venus in Scorpio, then let's work together to help our sign win a competition. Right now, we are going to see which Venus sign can get the most likes on their videos. Now, I've been putting up 2 videos every Sunday and the 2 have been competing. So we will see if it will be the Libras or the Scorpios that win next week. Now, Tauruses beat out the Aries, Gemini beat out the Cancer, and surprisingly, Virgos beat out the Leos. But Virgos, they have the most overall likes out of any video, and they just started last week. So they basically blew the competition out of the water. Now, I will say I am quite partial to Venus and Scorpio, so hopefully we can beat the Libras. So let's get into this. What exactly is Venus? Well, Venus is the planet of love and romance, money, beauty, art, and harmony. It is the planet of pleasure. Venus can tell you what you are attracted to. So what happens when you have the planet of love mixed with the beautiful energy of Scorpio? Well, you get my transformational lovers of the zodiac. Venus and Scorpios will spend their life transforming themselves through their close relationships. One beautiful thing about Virgos and Scorpios is their ability to look inwards and to reflect on what needs to change and what needs improving within themselves. Now, this skill comes very naturally to them, where some other signs may not be able to handle self-criticism as well. Virgos and Scorpios look at it as a way to grow and to transform. Venus and Scorpios are constantly analyzing. They are very observant lovers. Before I did this video, I was researching Scorpions because I wondered if their lives reflected people with Scorpio's placements' lives. And I learned that when a Scorpion is hunting for food, they become extremely observant. They can notice when anything is off or there is movement. And they can be super still and wait for their prey to get within distance to snag. And when the time is right, they will attack, and they usually secure the prize. Now, if that ain't Scorpio, I don't know what is. It reminded me of the days when I was younger, and I would want to seek revenge on those who had done me wrong. Now, quick side note, ding ding. As a Venus in Scorpio who is getting close to 40, I will tell all of my fellow Venus and Scorpios, you definitely go through a maturity over the years with your viewpoint of love with this placement. After some time, you will have lessons learned from your close relationships, and you grow as a person, and you discover things that you will tolerate in a relationship and things you will not tolerate in a relationship. Relationships really provide the fuel for a journey of self-discovery for a Venus in Scorpio. You learn so much about yourself through the interactions with others when you have this placement. It's intriguing because what is more fascinating than deep diving and learning all about yourself and all of your intricacies? Venus and Scorpios can dig deep and they can research and investigate things. And this includes themselves. They can journal and meditate, pray or talk or write just to express themselves. I mean, they do not mind to do the shadow work in relationships, because eventually a Venus in Scorpio will figure out that shadow work is an inevitable part of relationships. Now, this can manifest in relationships transforming you and making you become aware of the things that need to change in your life. Or it can manifest where you are basically Pluto in the relationship and you bring up the shadow side of your partner and they are forced to face that part of themselves. Now, some partners run from this and some partners face it and they heal, and then they may leave the relationship with a Venus in Scorpio. So it can feel like the Venus in Scorpio gets in these relationships, gets invested, and is there for their partners through thick and thin, all the ups and downs. A Venus in Scorpio will stay throughout the struggles that their partner faces when going through the healing process. And then when their partner makes it out to the other end and the relationship doesn't make it, you know, sometimes the Venus and Scorpio partner can find out that their partner moved on to be the partner that they wanted them to be the entire time. It's the most annoying thing ever. But sometimes it happens to a Venus in Scorpio. I mean, it happened to me. I was married to a man that seemingly had his life together before we got married. I mean, he had a job, he had a car, he had a house, all of that. And then we got married and he just quits everything. And he puts it all on my plate. And now I'm a Venus in Scorpio and I'm married. I'm not just gonna lay down the towel easily. So I picked up the slack. I did everything to make my relationship work. I mean, I worked. I took care of the bills while going to school and raising kids. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom more than anything. But with me, he would not work. Well, we ended up separating. I mean, that's a whole nother story. But the next girl that he got with, she got to be a stay-at-home girlfriend, and he worked and provided everything for her. He paid all the bills. And I was so confused. I mean, I started looking inward. You know, very Venus and Scorpio trait. I look inward and tried to figure out, like, what was in my energy field where he felt the need to not provide or to not help me, but he felt the need to do it for her. And if he had done it for me, it would have fixed all of the stressors in our marriage, and it like would have, you know, probably saved it. So after this relationship was over, I mean, I felt like there was nothing. I was left with nothing but wasted time, basically. And it can feel like we get the short end of the deal with love sometimes. Like, we're people that stay during the bad times. We stick with them, and yet they will leave us when times get good or betray us. I mean, I sometimes have to remember that I do grow after each relationship. I forget that I do grow, but I do. After that relationship, I set an immediate standard that I would never again be with anyone who did not maintain employment. Like, it's non-negotiable for me. And you may find that with Venus and Scorpios, they can upgrade with each relationship because they can figure out what they do not like in relationships and set boundaries that simply cannot be crossed. Now, I can say I have never downgraded in relationships before, but I haven't had that many relationships. Venus and Scorpios can be picky in love, and they are so intuitive. I promise, when they interact with you, they can pick up very quickly if you two will work out long term. They know themselves quite deeply. They know their deal breakers and things that they just simply would never be able to tolerate over the long term. Now, just because they realize that you are not compatible does not mean that a Venus and Scorpio will stop contact with you. See, Venus and Scorpios can be quite secretive and mysterious, so you will never be able to quite place your finger on what their intentions with things are. If a Venus and Scorpio is bored, it is possible that they talk to multiple people, but they have no intentions of dating them. I mean, they just may be talking to them to get their social meter up, or they may just be talking to one special person who they hope to build a life with. They can hold their cards close, and they are deeply private people. They only choose a select few to open up to, and even then, a Venus and Scorpio will still have secrets that they will take to the grave. But this is why Venus and Scorpios can make the bestest friends and the bestest partners and the bestest parents. When a Venus and Scorpio considers you in their inner circle of people that they can trust, they will be extremely cutthroat loyal to you. I mean, hands down loyal. They will be fiercely protective over their loved ones. These are the people that literally will lay down their life for what they believe in or those that they love. So do not mess with a Venus and Scorpio. They can also associate love with sacrifice, and they can be martyrs, sacrificing their life for love. It can go that extreme. I mean, Scorpio's ruling planet is Pluto, and Pluto is the planet of extremes. These people have your back if they consider you close. But let me tell you something. Come here. A Venus in Scorpio will subject you to a multitude of tests to test your loyalty and to see how easily you crack. And they will be extremely observant of your mannerisms and your words, and they will catch on to anything that is off or that does not match up. And let me tell you, with this placement, you are no stranger to betrayal. I would say with this placement, you go through at least one betrayal in your love life that can take a toll on you, maybe even more throughout life. I am telling you, as a Venus in Scorpio, I can get physically sick over breakups. Now, I do have other placements and aspects that can contribute to this, but seriously, breakups are hard for me. Even if I know in the back of the mind, it's for the best that, I've outgrown this person. I have more lessons to learn in life, I still take them so hard. I am so nostalgic sometimes, and I don't want to leave people in my past. So I will physically get sick, or I won't be able to eat for a while after a breakup. I don't know, if you have a Venus in Scorpio, how are you with breakups? Like, do you physically get sick too? Let me know in the comments. I want to know, is that a Venus and Scorpio thing or another Scorpio planet? But back to what I was saying. A Venus in Scorpio will subject you through a lot of tests. If you prove loyal and trustworthy, they will move you to their inner circle and protect you and be loyal to you at all cost. But do not ever lie to a Venus in Scorpio or a Scorpio period. Okay, first of all, They are so intuitive, and second of all, they are so observant. So they know when something is off, and they are like bloodhounds. Okay, so after they get tipped off, they can relentlessly search until they manifest the answer. So really, there's no sense in lying, because they will get down to the bottom of it. And you can get a lot of respect points if you're honest with a Venus in Scorpio. I have a lot of Sagittarius in my chart, but being honest is a must with me. Respect me and tell me the truth. Do not make me hear it from someone else. I see that as cowardly if you couldn't come to me and tell me face to face. And I appreciate someone, that can own up to their own mistakes. I mean, I understand we're all human. And something about Venus and Scorpios is that they are so tolerant. They will be so tolerant of your flaws. They support you and embrace your flaws. A Venus in Scorpio will love your flaws. In fact, a Venus in Scorpio can be attracted to someone who has quirks or is not your standard person that is considered attractive. I know for me, if there was a group of boys, I was always attracted to the quieter one or the odd one or the one that acted different. I don't know. I would say I always went for the one that would probably not be everyone else's number one choice. But in a way, I liked that. I'm not the person that drools over the Chippendale dancers. In fact, I don't even understand that as a Venus in Scorpio. Like, lusting over some guy's muscles is not my thing. In fact, I don't even find them attractive. I can't even imagine going crazy over some man that I just met. Like, it would take me a minute to open up. Venus and Scorpios are, for the most part, not going to be into one night stands. It's just not really their thing. A Venus in Scorpio will naturally know the power of sex and what it holds. And they don't just give their sexual energy away to just anyone. They are guarded in that sense. So if you were able to make love to a Venus in Scorpio, then congratulations. You are either able to create a safe space for them where they can feel like they can come to you and be vulnerable with you, or you both have childhood traumas that you need to work through to get you to where you're going in life. So you will be magnetically trauma bonded together. Yay. Relationships are not smooth sailing for a Venus in Scorpio. But let me tell you a little secret. We love this. We don't want relationships to be smooth sailing. We think we do. This is one of the things that you learn over time with a Venus in Scorpio. Like, in the beginning, you think you want this fairy tale love romance where everything is perfect. But if you ever achieve this as a Venus in Scorpio, you actually will find that you prefer a little tension, a little chaos. I mean, think about it. Scorpio rules the 8th house, which deals with things like sex. And sex is the act of tension and release. And Scorpios, I mean, they love this. That's why they're passionate about things. And if they get stirred up about a social injustice that they experience, they have this inner tension and they can release it out with their powerful words that can sway audiences and have a profound effect on them. This is why these lovers can be the masters at sex. They intuitively know what their partner wants and craves. They can create a dynamic where there is sexual tension built up and the partner is able to release it because the Venus in Scorpio intuitively knows exactly what to do to help this person release the tension in the bedroom. They are so smart. They come into this world already knowing some psychology and how people work. I look back at my childhood when I was younger, and I really did analyze people, and I did understand why someone did what they did. You know, I saw the bigger picture. Not all the time, but there's times I can think about where I did understand why an adult made a decision that they did. I knew too much psychology and didn't even realize it. And then we go through relationships with people and we discover even more things about psychology. We teach ourselves. Venus and Scorpios are naturally drawn to psychology and why humans do the things that they do. It's fascinating to people watch and predict how people will behave in certain situations. So let me share a personal example. I've always been drawn to psychology. I even thought about majoring in it in college, but I really didn't know like what career I could do for it. So I decided to go with something else. But I am just naturally drawn to it, and I thought I understood it. But this last relationship I was in taught me so much more about psychology. Okay, so he had a lot of Taurus placements. Okay, actually, let me back way up. So as a Venus in Scorpio, when I was younger, I always attracted partners that were obsessed with me. So I'm talking like teens, early 20s and 20, whatever. I was the center of their attention. They would make sacrifices for me, all of that kind of stuff. So I got out of my marriage, and this was I think I was early 30s. And I go 3 years without dating because I just needed a break. And that's another thing. Venus and Scorpios can wait. They can be single until they find someone that's worthy of their love. Pluto is, again, the planet of extremes. So with a Venus and Scorpio, you can find moments in life where their sexual activity swings to extremes. So if they feel safe and secure with a partner or a relationship is new, a Venus in Scorpio may have an extremely high sex drive, almost like they cannot get enough. But if they are in a moment of growing and they need to take time out of dating to focus on things, or they need to work, they can become celibate. Okay, so back to my story. I go 3 years without dating because I just wanted to get unbrainwashed from this last relationship. Well, I meet Mr. Taurus, okay, and we really hit it off. We had a lot in common. Well, I was so caught off guard because he was unobsessed with me. It sounds so narcissistic. But if you're a Venus in Scorpio, you know what I'm talking about. People become obsessed with you and you don't even mean for them to. Someone with this placement will always have at least one person in their DMs that is always trying. I mean, they probably have a couple, but there's some. They will have people that will spend their whole life trying to date them, okay? It's like they got hooked young and they will literally spend their whole life trying to get with them. My Venus and Scorpios might be the only people in the zodiac that can relate to me on this and not judge me. Okay, so I meet Mr. Taurus and he doesn't text me. I mean, he's not really proactive in dating. He's extremely slow in making his moves. I mean, I was so caught off guard. At the time, I didn't understand it because I hated all of these things about him. Yet I could not leave him because I was intrigued. What was he doing? Why was he not obsessed with me? How could I make him obsessed with me? Sounds horrible, but believe me, Venus and Scorpios have to go through all these lessons to learn what to value in love. And I feel like these are genuine thoughts of another Venus and Scorpio may have. It intrigued me. So I kept him in my life to keep figuring out more and more about him. Well, he didn't open up fast enough for me. So I had to do some digging on my own. And Venus and Scorpios are the kings and queens of figuring out things about their partners. They will investigate and research and know more about your past than you do. They will go through all your social media. They will go through your friends' pages. They will go through the pages that you like. They want to see what type of person you are when you think no one is looking. Are you ethical? Do you maintain integrity? Are you loyal? they will talk to people that know you and figure out what kind of person you really are. And Scorpios can be quite secretive, so they can do a lot of private investigating that you never know about. They can be the ones that have a fake profile to try to catch you talking to them, or they can be the ones that get their friends to test you and see how you react. I mean, a Scorpio will subject you to tests throughout the relationship to see how loyal you are. So I did my investigating like a good little Venus and Scorpio would do. I needed to know why in the world this man was different than anyone else I had ever dated. It was almost like I was becoming obsessed because he wasn't obsessed. He was acting differently than the others. I mean, at one point he ghosted me. Okay, so before him, I didn't even know what the term ghosted meant or twin flame. That whole relationship sent me down a path of learning all kinds of psychology and relationship dynamics. I mean, he breadcrumbed and love bombed. I learned about narcissism and borderline personality disorder. I learned about avoidant attachment style and anxious and fearful and secure. I think I might be missing one. But anyways, I had never heard of any of these psychological terms until that relationship. I also didn't know what limerence was or codependency. I didn't know what PTSD was or CPTSD. And I also learned about astrology through that relationship. Mr. Taurus took way too long to open up. And if I didn't do things the way he liked, he would ghost me. Yet I couldn't leave him because I had to figure him out. He was like a puzzle. So I started figuring out birth charts and that a person is made up of more than just their sun sign. So I started digging deep into his chart and my chart and our synastry chart and our composite chart. I'm a Venus in Scorpio. I dug deep into astrology. I read all kinds of books. I watched thousands of hours of videos and podcasts. I listened to instructors. I took classes. I tuned into my higher self. I mean, I naturally just love astrology because it allowed me to get to intimately know someone without them ever having to tell me a word. And it gave me a better understanding of why that person is the way that they are. So you know, Mars and Taurus can be slow in love and they have to grow in love. It's not a fast moving thing. It's a slow and steady thing that you build over time. And I understood that once I saw his birth chart. I think natives with this placement love to understand people at such a deep level that astrology can allow them to do it. They also may love to know everything about you, but they may be hesitant to open up to you. They will always have to feel safe and secure to open up to you. There is usually some type of fear around intimacy or being vulnerable with a partner. Venus in Scorpio knows that vulnerabilities can be used at a later time against them. It's kind of like having an Achilles heel. You know, that one problematic area in your life. And if you tell someone, then they could end up shooting an arrow in that spot and wounding you because they knew it was where your weakness was. When if they never knew, they would have never aimed at that spot. You know, they would have went for your chest or something. They would have got you in a more vulnerable spot. Venus in Scorpios test you and they want to see how much you can be trusted with, and being more authentically who you are comes with time for a Venus in Scorpio. I mean, for a long time, we agree to make sacrifices in relationship in return for love. But at one point in life, we realize that we just want someone to love us for who we are, and no sacrifices have to be made in love. A Venus in Scorpio really matures over time. There are times when I was younger that I would plot revenge against anyone who betrayed me. And I loved my Venus in Scorpio because I could wait until the perfect time to strike, because it gave me patience to not do anything in the moment. But over time, you rise above revenge and you realize that the universe will take care of those things for you. And if someone ever does anything against you, that karma comes back around to them. I have found this to be true in my life time and time again. The good thing with Venus in Scorpio is you have the patience to wait to find out. No, karma is not always going to be instant, but over the next year or 5 years from betraying you, you can see how that person's life was affected. So before doing this video, I did do research on scorpions and I did find their mating ritual quite fascinating. So let me give you the rundown. So when two scorpions mate, the male finds the female and he grabs her pinchers and he holds onto them. And then he does this little dance with her. Now, what is fascinating is they both have the power to sting each other. So they go back and forth. Now, there are times where the male will sting the female. Now, scientists believe that the male is doing this to tranquilize or to calm the female down so that the male can lead with the pinchers. Other scientists say that scorpions don't mind pain during lovemaking. Hello, Venus in Scorpio. Okay, back to scorpions. So the male eventually will lead the female with the pinchers. He holds onto her and leads her, and he squirts his sperm on the ground, and then he drags the female over it. And the female, they wait together, pinch together while she absorbs it. Okay, and then once it's over and she's fully absorbed it, they separate. And there's just so much overlap of being a Venus in Scorpio and the scorpion mating process. As a female Venus in Scorpio, I understand the part where the female doesn't want to be told what to do. But I found the dance that they do before mating, I found that to be interesting because I feel like for a Venus in Scorpio, in some relationships, they are constantly doing a dance with their partners over control. Power struggles can be a real thing for a Venus in Scorpio to deal with in relationships. But like I said earlier, Venus and Scorpios think that they want this fairy tale. But let me tell y'all something. I had the fairy tale for a minute. Everything was perfect. I couldn't complain. And it drove me insane. Like I needed some type of tension. All the super duper agreeableness was boring to me. And that took me at least 36 or 37 years to find out about myself. So don't be hard on yourself. But I thought I was capable of having this storybook romance. And that's what I intended to have. But I don't know, it's like with Venus and Scorpio, we associate pleasure with pain. So it feels good when someone stays with us through thick and thin, or we make sacrifices and stay with someone. You know, there's something alluring to that. So there has to be some type of tension or pain or sacrifice in the relationship to feel fulfilled and accomplished. If there isn't some type of tension, then you are not growing. You are staying complacent. And Venus and Scorpios came here to transform. They don't like staying stuck in a rut. You know, they aren't used to it. In fact, they are used to having the rug being pulled out from underneath them in relationships. So they need something to always be happening so they can learn and they can grow from it. Now, something else that I thought was interesting is how after the Reproduction Act, the Scorpions go their separate way. You know, this was interesting this interesting thing kind of came up for me once when I was in a relationship. It was actually with Mr. Taurus. Now, I call him that because he had multiple Taurus placements. But at one point in our relationship, he told me that he still had love for his ex. So now, as a Venus in Scorpio, you can imagine my reaction. I mean, I loved his honesty, but oh my gosh, my little Venus in Scorpio heart did not want to hear that. I mean, I'm jealous and protective and territorial. I do not like knowing that the person that I love loves multiple people. No. I'm that person who wants my partner to only love one person. I almost don't even want them to get married after we get married. Like if I pass away, I am almost that person that doesn't want them to get remarried because I only love one person at a time. I couldn't understand how he still was in love with his ex because when I'm done in a relationship, I'm done. It's very cut and dry with me. I love you or I don't. Pluto deals with extremes, and I don't necessarily hate my exes. I'm just indifferent to them. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care who they're with. I don't care what they become in life. It's like I just no longer care. Both my exes betrayed me by cheating, so I would never give them the opportunity to live in my head rent-free. I knew I didn't deserve that, so I moved on. And I no longer wanted to spend any of my energy towards either one of them. So it shocked me that someone could still love their ex, especially one that had betrayed them. And at the time, I worked at a restaurant, and I would have guys come in and he would always worry that I would flirt with a good-looking guy. And I never could convince him that once I have eyes on someone, they get my total devotion. I don't look at guys. I don't want guys. Like, I don't even look at guys and think, oh, he's hot. I literally only think about my partner like all day long. I may be interacting with people, but I'm secretly missing my man. I don't even look at other people. I'm extremely loyal, and I don't mind to reassure my partner. I mean, they can have my location. They can have my password on my phone. When I am devoted, I am 100% devoted. I'm not hiding anything. And I will say, loyalty will be extremely important to a Venus in Scorpio. I mean, if you prove you are not a loyal person, a Venus in Scorpio will greatly distance themselves from you, and they may even leave you. Personally, if I'm in a romantic relationship and my partner betrays me, it is the only thing that I have found that gives me the ultimate motivation to leave. And once I set my mind on leaving, there is no going back. You are dead to me. I am moving on. But honestly, I feel like a Venus in Scorpio goes silent on you for two reasons. Number one, they're using you for social interaction and you are just not needed at that moment. Or number two, they just don't feel like you're worth the effort to put energy towards anymore. If someone betrays me, I get really quiet and I start planning my escape. I mean, I get very hurt. There is no point to being in a relationship where there is no trust. And there is no coming back from that for me as a Venus in Scorpio. It will forever be in the back of my mind that you buckled. And while I can forgive it, I can never forget it. And I don't feel like the person who is disloyal deserves my energy. And there's no real point to talking it out with a person because what is done and there's no going back. The final decision is made. So there's no sense in wasting energy talking about the problem when the end result is going to be the same anyway. I mean, you're both going to go your separate ways. So some Venus and Scorpios can seem cutthroat, and it may seem I mean, it may seem that way, but really a Venus in Scorpio understands the bigger picture faster. I mean, I think better than most other signs. A Venus and Scorpio are very in tune with how important energy is and focus. And they only want to invest their focus and their energy into things that get them maximum results. And if this isn't you, then it's not you. And if a Venus in Scorpio starts to distance from you and they start to realize that things are not going to work long term, they will distance you while they get their ducks in a row. They can start talking to other people. They can feel detached from the relationship. They can feel like it's going to end anyways. So technically, yes, a Venus in Scorpio can cheat, but it's only if there is some type of disconnect there. They can also be really good cheaters, unfortunately. They are just so good at being secretive, and they are good at having extremely loyal people around them. So it's easy for them to have affairs that no one ever finds out about. But while most Venus in Scorpios are presented with this temptation, some take it and some do not. A Venus in Scorpio's integrity is important to them, and they also find satisfaction in the hard things in relationships. So it's possible that they are tempted with affairs, but they never give in because they view it as a sign of weakness to give into sexual temptation. You never really know. I mean, it can manifest in two totally different ways, and that's why Scorpios are so complex, and their energy is just surrounded by secrets and mysteries and trust issues and boundaries and emotions. Scorpios are constantly testing things to gather data to get down to the bottom of the truth of things in the universe. This is especially true if someone has Sag and Scorpio in their chart. They are good at wanting to learn philosophy and higher learning, and they are able to do the digging and the research to find the answers. Venus and Scorpios can seem like the perfect person on the outside. They are able to fool people easily because they hold their cards so tight. So it can be confusing on why a Venus and Scorpio doesn't like you, because on the outside it can look like they do. But I promise you, they have read your energy and they know you're not a perfect match. These are the people that can even secretly be into criminal activity, but they keep it covered up. Or these people may be a part of a secret club or do taboo things. Or sometimes these people can do drugs and you would never guess that they do it. Or they can be secret alcoholics. I mean, they are able to keep some of the things that they love hidden with this placement. Doesn't mean that they will, but the potential energy is there for it to manifest with this placement. You will be able to tell if a Venus in Scorpio likes you because they will want to spend time with you, and they may even seem obsessed with you. I mean, their love can be so addictive, especially to someone who has never loved as a child. Oh my gosh. Their love is just so powerful. They can just know exactly what you need to feel whole again. One other thing I want to mention is that with this placement, you have the capability to aspect an entire Pluto and Scorpio generation. And if you were born during the Pluto and Scorpio generation and you have your Venus in Scorpio, you are going to experience transformation in the love department even more. Your love will be a very transformative love for other people. These people with this aspect can be natural healers or therapists. Scorpionic relationships can be quite intense, but natives with their Venus in Scorpio are going to eat this up, okay? They can love obsessive, clingy relationships. Now, usually the person with the Venus in Scorpio will have the power in the relationship because regardless if they use manipulation tactics or not, They are aware of them, so they can seldom get used in relationships, and they can always walk away. Usually a Venus in Scorpio exits mentally before checking out physically from a relationship. But sometimes this can flip-flop with this Pluto and Scorpio generation. You can find people with a lot of Scorpio planets, and they may have the power in the relationship. And if you have two people with Scorpio placements or 8th house placements, you are going to get power struggles where the Scorpions sting each other. So it's a great time to be alive and be a Venus in Scorpio, because you will make aspects with a lot of people's Pluto and Scorpios, and they will just love this energy that this stirs up. Now, other Pluto generations aren't going to like the obsessiveness and the clinginess that a Venus-Pluto aspect can make, but you have a Venus in Scorpio, you are going to love it because you're going to love that transformative love. Venus in Scorpios can be the people that shock you. I mean, they often do something that would shock people around them if they knew it was true. They are good at keeping secrets. I will say, as a Venus in Scorpio, people trust me with their secrets. People I barely know will tell me their deepest, darkest secrets just by chatting with them. I mean, does this ever happen to any other Venus and Scorpios out there? And I can take secrets very seriously. I can keep secrets. In fact, Venus and Scorpios are great at holding other people's secrets. I've had friends tell me things to this day that I have never told anyone. Now, if you betray me as a Venus in Scorpio, I do know that I have the power to betray you and spill your secrets that you have told me throughout the relationship. But more often than not, I personally still keep the person's secrets. I take the higher road and I just create distance between us, and I maybe just won't talk to them anymore. Now, with this placement, it's possible for family members to betray you. And you cannot necessarily create this huge distance when it happens with family. I've had this happen where someone in my inner circle betrayed me, and I still have to talk to this person. Now, I will talk to this person and I get along with this person, but I will never, ever, ever, ever trust this person. Loyalty is non-negotiable for me. When things were not good, I was observant and I saw who was with me and who was not with me. So when things get good, a Venus in Scorpio will know how to reward those who have been loyal to them. They will take care of those that are close to them. Having close, intimate bonds is important to a Venus in Scorpio. I mean, they usually don't have a large circle of friends, although they can be quite popular. They are the ones that may have a lot of acquaintances that know them, but they really don't know them. Remember, a Venus in Scorpio is great at getting to know you, but not so great at sharing things about themselves. Their ultimate test in life is to go through life and find a partner who you can trust and who you can completely open up to, and who you can share your vulnerabilities with, and trust that person will provide you with this safe and secure place to do this in. That sounds so hard if you are a Venus in Scorpio, because opening up to someone completely and sharing all your secrets sounds scary. I did find it interesting that during a Scorpion's mating ritual, the male Scorpion basically bounds the female Scorpion into submission, and there is a power struggle because the male and the female had the same capability to sting. So this power struggle ensues until the male dominates and the female submits, and they experience pain during sex. There's a lot of people with this placement that are not afraid to do taboo things during sex. And they can really open their partners up to new things because they aren't afraid to explore to find out what they do and don't like. And this placement can have power struggles in the bedroom, where someone dominates or submits or be into BDSM. A Venus in Scorpio can pretty much tolerate anything you throw at them. They can be some of the most understanding people. It reminds me of the movie The Spitfire Girl. It's an old movie, but there's this girl in the movie and she falls in love basically with a man that is considered an outcast, but she loved him no matter what his flaws was. And this is a Venus in Scorpio. They can love you through your flaws, even if you are different, even if you are an outcast. A Venus in Scorpio can see the good in you. So if you are dating a Venus in Scorpio, will they cheat on you? Well, this is a complex question. If you prove your loyalty to a Scorpio and you meet their needs, a Venus in Scorpio will be extremely devoted and loyal. But if a Venus in Scorpio senses that you are not being honest or you're not being loyal and something is off, they may address it to you. And if something needs to change in a relationship, a Venus in Scorpio is going to need to see a change in your actions. They don't care what your words are. You can say you're going to change, but you actually have to make an effort to change. Now, if you make a mistake, a Venus in Scorpio can be forgiving, but they want to know that you are trying. A Venus in Scorpio is capable of spoiling their partner, but they don't like when the scales are tipped and they feel like they are doing all of the work. A Venus in Scorpio will like to give equally to the amount that they're getting in a relationship, or they want to give less. If they feel like they are constantly giving more in a relationship, then they may have to address the issue. But if it continues, a Venus in Scorpio may not leave immediately. They really do give their partners a lot of chances to change. But a Venus in Scorpio will distance themselves from you. And it's possible for them to start seeing things not line up for the long term. Now, a Venus in Scorpio isn't one to make rash, life alternating decisions. If they do this, there may be some Sagittarius in their charts or some things aspecting their Venus. A Venus in Scorpio is going to quietly get their ducks in a row and make an exit out of the relationship. They are going to play their cards right to get the maximum benefit. And that sometimes means doing things in secret. And then they all of a sudden may make a move. And you come home one day and all of their stuff is gone and they have moved out. Now, it seems like an abrupt decision to you. The Venus in Scorpio had done thinking about this for a long time. They got their savings account built up. They rented a storage unit. They got a new place. They got their friends lined up to come help them move. They knew when you were going to be at work at the longest. I mean, they know when to strike. And it takes a lot for a Venus in Scorpio to be done with you. But when they are done, they are done. So that's why I couldn't understand how Mr. Taurus could still love his ex, because I certainly did not still love mine. Love can be an all-consuming thing to a Venus in Scorpio. They can feel the desire to become one with their partners. So they give their relationship 100% when they really care. A Venus in Scorpio can also be like a Venus in Taurus, and they can hang on to a relationship a lot longer than they should. They are just such a tough sign. I mean, they can take a lot of abuse, and that sucks. But they can. It's like the female scorpion getting stung while mating, they can put up with the pain in relationships, and they can settle for a lot less than they deserve in relationships, especially early on in life. But eventually they have to break through the transformation that they're going through in life and change the relationship and get into a new relationship that teaches them new lessons. Over time, a Venus in Scorpio will gain self-worth. It is possible for someone with this placement to get in a relationship with a narcissist. It is possible to attract Aries, Taurus, Virgo, and Leos with this placement. And all of those signs, their shadow sides, can have some quite narcissistic traits. Okay? Don't hate me, Aries, Taurus, Virgo, and Leo. I love y'all. I attract y'all. But it's possible that you attract a narcissistic, empathetic relationship with this placement, where there are power struggles and manipulation tactics used on you and betrayal introduced. I mean, it sucks because we are so empathetic, so intuitive with this placement. We really have to learn our boundaries and what we will and will not tolerate in relationships, and how to be assertive and to stick to those boundaries. Now, these natives can have the capability to be quite successful in this life. They would be great at jobs that involve transforming. So maybe flipping houses, or maybe having a weight loss YouTube channel, or a podcast where you talk about investing. They would be great in the field of finance and wealth management. These natives can be excellent in the stock market. I mean, they can transform poverty into prosperity over time if they want to. These natives can also be lucky in business, and they can get people that will invest in them in life. Someone may want to give them the funds to start their company, or maybe someone gives them a business that's already established. They are able to attract money. Scorpios naturally attract things that will give them power, and in some ways, money relates to power in today's world. Now, an uninvolved Venus in Scorpio will attract partners who they have power over. For instance, when I was an uninvolved Scorpio, I attracted partners who didn't work, who depended on me for everything, which did give me the ability to control, because what they did depended on me. You know, they couldn't do anything without me. I eventually had to learn to let go of this control and let my partner have their own money and their own mind on how to spend that money. I had to learn that lesson. You know, I got with someone who always worked. As I evolved as a Venus in Scorpio, I learned lesson after lesson on trying to control my partner. I mean, eventually you learn to just surrender to the universe. And if anything happens, I always like to think that, you know, the truth always comes out. So if anything does go wrong, I'll know about it. Plus, I'm highly intuitive, I'm observant, so, you know, if this person is betraying me, I'm gonna trust myself, and I know I will figure it out. But until then, I'm not gonna worry about it. And I have learned over time to be more loyal to myself and what I want. And when I became more loyal to myself, I attracted more people that were loyal to me. Eventually, an evolved Scorpio will want to stop being the big fish in the small pond, okay? It's restricting in some ways. You know, you grow to be secure in relationships enough that you are able to get with partners that maybe know more about money or finances, or know more about a certain industry that you are in. A partner that you can learn from, that you have to trust and rely and depend on, which can be scary to a Venus in Scorpio, because they have to surrender all the control and trust, which can be daunting. But they learn to become more vulnerable with this partner. For a Venus in Scorpio, relationships will forever be a learning process. process. It never ends, but really, you never want it to. Life would be boring if everything was just easy peasy all of the time. These are such powerful people. They also may have to learn the lesson around giving their power away to their partners. Pluto is all about personal power, and it's possible that the Venus in Scorpio wants to understand their partner so much that they deep dive and focus all of their attention on their partner and all of their flaws and what's going on in their life, when really they should be focusing on their self and healing their shadow side. And Scorpio will eventually get to this. It's just so hard not to investigate other people sometimes. Venus and Scorpios are definitely going to like quality over quantity. You can take them on one cheap date to the bowling alley and laugh and talk to them and have fun, and they will take that over a date to Paris and Rome and Australia, and you be on your cell phone the whole time, or leave them alone to explore the city. They want quality time with someone that they love. They are here to experience the depths. You know, I was reading about all of the places that Scorpions live. You know, they live in the deserts and the caves. I mean, here, there, and everywhere. They are on every continent except Antarctica. Well, they even found a scorpion living so far deep down in the earth. I mean, I forgot what it was. I think it was like 2,500 feet or something. Like basically half a mile down in the ground, they found some Scorpios living. What can I say? We like to deep dive into things. If you are dating a Venus in Scorpio or thinking about dating a Venus in Scorpio, beware. They are some lovers that you may get magnetically attracted to and not even mean to. Pluto can be extremely magnetic. I mean, they can give off this energy sometimes that no other sign can replicate, and it can feel awesome. So they can be hard to forget if you ever break up. Before I forget, these people will attract the outcast of society. So it's possible that they attract someone that is in a jail or a prison, or someone who recently got out, or someone who has a mental health disorder, or you may attract someone who is not consistent, or you may attract someone who is broken and may need your just natural nurturing. You can do a lot for your partners. You know, you can attract someone who may be impaired some way, maybe a physical or a mental handicap. You can attract someone that passes away on you as a partner. You know, an unevolved Scorpio is like an unevolved Cancer in some ways. An unevolved Venus in Scorpio will want their partner to depend on them for something, so that it kind of gives them this security that their partner is never going to leave. But what they learn is that this does not stop a person from leaving, that you have to surrender. Now, I think a Venus in Cancer goes to a more extreme with having a partner depend on them. But I think a Venus in Scorpio, you know, they're always forced to transform from this pattern. They don't really have a choice from it. A Venus in Scorpio can have a fear of abandonment or rejection. They want to be accepted for all of their flaws too. But unfortunately, most Venus and Scorpios were raised with a childhood where they were invalidated, or their opinion didn't matter, or they may have grown up in homes where they never knew what their parents' mood was going to be. You know, they had a childhood where one of the parents' mood would swing from one extreme to another. I am not going to go into all the ways that their childhood could manifest. I mean, there's lots of different possibilities. If you are dating a Venus in Scorpio, you will probably want to know what their childhood was like and how their dynamic was with the opposite sex parent, and actually the dynamic with the same sex parent. A Venus in Scorpio, especially in those unevolved years, can imitate how their parents acted or use the same coping mechanisms that their parents did. A Venus in Scorpio will evolve over time and find the coping mechanisms that work best for them. And they aren't as toxic as the ones that they use now. A Venus in Scorpio is not afraid to improve for the betterment of the team. They want to build something with someone. They can be quite creative beings. They may be the ones that want to create a family with you, or a home, or a business, or maybe a band. I don't know. They will want to come together with you and create something together. Venus and Scorpios can be chaotic but devout parents. They want nothing more than to have a calm and stable life, but unfortunately, the people that they attract in their life forever keep them on this roller coaster ride. So they may seem a little chaotic at times, but they really do love their children. They are the ones that if they are locked up in prison, they have all of their photos of their loved ones. They have, like hanging up in their bunk. These people can have social media and it's just full of nothing but pictures of their family. Their inner circle is important to them. They may want to make as many memories as possible with these people. They want to grow close with them. It can deeply hurt a Venus in Scorpio if they are ever betrayed by their child, although it is something that could definitely manifest with this placement. Having a Venus in Scorpio is complex. If you know someone with this placement, you really get what you give out of a relationship with a Venus in Scorpio. The more you give them, the more that they will bless you. If you are dating someone with this placement, you are going to have to let go of knowing everything about them. They will never expose everything, and you're just gonna have to let that go. You cannot control what they don't want you to know and what they do want you to know. So let's look at some celebrities with this placement. We got Hillary Clinton, Vladimir Putin, Joe Biden. Okay, so are you actually noticing all of the politicians? I wonder if it's because Venus in Scorpio understands manipulation so well. I don't know. Who knows? Let's get back to the list of celebrities. Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, and Denzel Washington. So if you have your Venus in Scorpio, which parts of the video did you resonate with? Let me know in the comments below. I put out astrology videos every Sunday, and this week we are doing a series of Venus through the signs. Now, if you know where your Pluto is in your natal chart and you want to know why your soul came here to transform, then I invite you to watch my videos on Pluto through the houses. They are packed full of great information on why your soul came here to transform. Thank you so much for joining me today as we unpacked what it's like to have your Venus in Scorpio. I know I talked way longer than I ever anticipated for this video, but I'm a passionate person. So again, thank you for watching my video, my little fellow Scorpios. Don't forget to like this video so that we can win the competition with the Libras. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Mwah!